let's talk about Teen Wolf. I watched this series for the first time back in December 2019. And for the most part, I enjoyed it. I will be talking about one specific scene from a very specific episode from season 6. So first of all, spoilers. 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 It's not something that's going to have overarching changes that would, like, completely just derail everything that they had. The episode I'm working on is season 6, episode 14, called, I believe, Face to Faceless. This episode is kind of split up into two parts. One of them takes place at the high school. The other one takes place in, like, I don't know, catacombs or something? It's big tunnels that don't make much sense other than dramatic showdowns, I suppose. We're going to be talking about the high school portion. So I'm going to go ahead and play the clip.
Open your eyes. Hey! Hey, let him go! Are you just going to let us do this to you? You know you can take us. All you have to do is change. Do something!
Sometimes it's best to let them work things out on their own.
What the hell is going on? Back off! Hey, get to the principal's office! Now! What the hell is this? Get out! All of you! I can't stand to look at your faces!
First of all, my issues. The fact that everyone in the school is either horrified, disgusted, or terrified is just the biggest load of malarkey I can think of. I understand there is a big difference between me and these fictional characters that we're going to be talking about. The show that this was taking place and the city, town, whatever that I lived in were both small towns. Why was the person who was saying werewolves are real believed in the first place? Why? Why was that thought entertained? As someone who would have liked for something interesting to happen in high school and was into that kind of thing, I would have loved to have found out that werewolves or vampires or Selkie or something like that was real. But I wouldn't have believed it if someone had told me that. Because you kind of need evidence. And I understand that, like, a lot of stuff had happened. Yeah, okay, fine, I'll give them that, because there have been a lot of bad things happening. There's been a lot of death. There was a whole thing about animal attacks and something that no one could consider anything but human sacrifices. So I'll give them the fact that they actually believe that there are werewolves. Okay, fine. Another thing that I absolutely hated was the teacher. Oh my god, that teacher. One of your responsibilities as a teacher, other than, of course, to teach the children, is to protect them. And, I mean, now more so than ever. But you can't just allow your students to be, like, in the process of murdering another student and just watch. I know that she's a werewolf and that she's scared that she's gonna be found out as well, but when you see a child that's just on the floor, covered in blood, surrounded by students that are just watching, you're seeing two 16 to 18-year-old boys attacking a student while his friend is being restrained and his friend is yelling at you, do something, because you are the adult in this situation. You are the one responsible, and you're the worst thing you could say is what she ended up saying, which was, sometimes it's best to let them work things out on their own. No. And also, fuck you. Blood is literally splattering all over the place. But sure, let's let them work this out. Okay, one of the attackers says, "Open your eyes," in a pseudo-menacing tone, and I kind of laughed at that because that just gave me visions of one of them trying to, like, pry back his eyelid to see his eyes. And then he's very disappointed when Liam opens his eyes and they're just, like, blue. Seemingly gets mad at Liam for letting them do this to him. That's also not how people talk in that kind of situation. The thing that I liked, Finstock. I liked the fact that he came in and was immediately like, no, stop whatever it is that you're doing, and if you'll pay attention, they listened immediately. Finstock, we've seen for the past 5.5 years, be this kind of goofy, not serious character, stops it immediately. And as far as we know, he's just human. And he's immediately seeing this as not a good thing. Whether or not he knows that Liam is a werewolf, irrelevant. He stops it because he knows it's wrong. He asks, "What is this?" And no one answers him. They know what just happened was wrong because they can't verbalize it. And then when he makes everyone leave the room, he's again yelling because Finstock only has one volume. And at this point, it's deserved because he's yelling and he says, "I can't stand to look at your faces." And fair, coach, neither can I. Understand why they used Liam, sort of. With how wonky the timeline is of this show, I guess he's really only one of a few that are still left in high school. The fact that he had anger issues makes him the best target in the minds of, like, the writers, but it only really makes sense if you're thinking about freshly bitten Liam. We've had a little while to watch him work on this, but this episode is post-Wild Hunt. He has his shit under control. So why Liam? Liam is too obvious. Not just because he's one of the main characters, but because he started this episode feeling trepidatious about going to school. I thought that a good twist would be if the attackers got it wrong, and instead of attacking a werewolf, that they attacked a human, thinking that it was a werewolf. Kind of like when Liam was first introduced, Styles and Scott thought that he was a werewolf, but he wasn't. He was just a kid who was good at lacrosse. Like, once he broke his ankle or whatever it was, that they were like, "Oh, yeah, no, he's human." And I thought it might be good to see that, but in a slightly more heightened area. I thought about using Mason, and I immediately threw that idea out the window. Substituted Mason for Liam in this one scene, seeing a black student be beaten up by two white dudes, because it could really easily turn into, instead of them saying, "We're trying to figure out if he was a werewolf," could turn into being like, "We don't like him because he's black," or "We don't like him because he's gay," which may not be the correct emotions for this emotional scene. Even though it doesn't really make any sense, I am going to take advantage of the wonky timeline and nominate Styles. Now, I know that there was a reason for Dylan O'Brien leaving the show. I'm not here to speculate on that. I know that there was a real-life reason for him to not be in as many episodes as he was. It's not like they're gonna go back in time and change things just because of something I'm saying. So I get to make up whatever I want. I'm not sure why he would be at the school, but maybe he's doing something in the library. Maybe he's doing research. For some reason, he's at the school. While he's at the school, he is seen being friendly with Liam. Maybe they end up having lunch together, but he is seen as being a part of that. And then he is attacked because of it. It could be that Liam is the one that they go for. Liam is the one that they attack. But Styles, unlike that fucking teacher, he's gonna step in. And even though he doesn't have as much authority, he is still going to be one of those people who stops a fight that doesn't need to happen. He might only accomplish getting the attackers to focus on him instead of the other kids, but that's enough. Because he's human. And the attackers know that he's not. And that's key. Like I was saying before, we kind of want to have these guys off balance. If it's someone who doesn't have supernatural powers, if this is someone who is weaker than you, they're not letting you do this. They are trying their best for this not to be happening, because believe it or not, this is not a walk in the park. And since we're going with Styles, it makes a little bit more sense that he's not fighting back against these theoretically children, because he is an adult, and even if they are attacking him, it still doesn't look as good. Just consequences of the fact that got beaten up and he doesn't have super healing. Maybe even just bruises. Hopefully, the fact that it is a human, and it's proven the fact that people learn that he goes to the hospital or something, that they know that he didn't just instantaneously heal, maybe that gets people thinking. And maybe the fact that the attackers were so convinced that he was a werewolf, but he's not, maybe that gets people thinking about, like, well, how can we tell them apart? If these people who are so convinced that Styles was one of them, but he's not, how are we supposed to know if they didn't even know? Maybe that'll get them thinking a little bit more. Maybe turn them on each other a little bit. Also, it's Styles. If nothing else, he's a part of the community. Yeah, he might be loud and annoying and obnoxious and people might not like him, but he's a part of the community. So if people don't like him, they do like his dad. If for no other reason than the fact that the sheriff position is an elected position. It's area for confusion, and I like, not manufactured, I like areas of confusion. I like the fact that sometimes you have to sit and think about something for a little bit before it makes sense. Speaking of the sheriff, yes, talk about Monroe. I don't like Monroe. Beacon Hills High has not had a very good run of guidance counselors, which kind of just makes me happy that my school didn't have one. So it might give her something to fight with her underlings about, because earlier in this episode, she survived an attack from the Beast. It looked like it was ultimately the sheriff who found her and got her medical care. If nothing else, there's at least a small piece of her that probably feels like she owes him something. I feel like she would have to think that they're at least on the same side. And I can't imagine that she would feel great that how she paid him back was by getting his son, like, demolished. So I feel like that is a good way to, like, put the germ of tension in the ranks. Whereas in the normal episode and for the following episodes, it seems like everyone is just kind of falling into line without really thinking about it. And there's not really any questioning. There's nothing. Without there being that extra bit of tension, without there being any sort of questioning, she feels flat as an antagonist, and more than anything, she just feels like another puppet of Gerard. And it's tired. Repeating villains has got to be one of my biggest pet peeves. Is boring to me. Those are my thoughts. Let me know if you agree, if you don't agree, if you only agree with part of it. I don't know how to feel about the movie coming out. I'm probably going to watch it, but be upset at myself for watching it the whole time. I don't know. I'll figure out how I feel about it once it comes out, I guess. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a great day. Bye.